So I decided to change my chair and my shelves around because I thought the lighting might be better if I could sit it a slightly different way. And normally my two black cats sit under the chair, and when I moved the chair, hey dudes, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. Today's a very special video because it was specifically requested by one of you guys, so shout out to you. And today we are doing relationship no-goes, and a lot of these will be about physical things, others will be non-physical things, but all of them are generally going to be from a Christian perspective, so bear that in mind, or if that doesn't interest you, then no pressure to carry on watching, but if it does, stick around because there's lots to say. Also, I will just say that in preparing this video, I've realised that I have a temptation to be a massive hypocrite and tell you guys, don't cross this line, don't cross that, when I certainly have done in the past, or I can see myself being a weakling and doing it again in the future when I've said, yeah, you shouldn't do that. So I think it's really important that I just tell you guys that, because I'm not here to judge you. It's not always easy, but these are just some things that I think would be really wise to stick to if you can. First relationship no-go, hickeys. Yes, I have given and received hickeys in the past, and it's not something that I intend to revisit. And one time when I had given my boyfriend a hickey, he wasn't so good with the covering up. So his classmates found out. One of his classmates happened to be someone from our youth group, so the youth group found out. And when we were out at the youth group and everyone, we were kind of talking about it, I was like, yeah, I feel quite cool about this. I'm up for having this debate about hickeys. I'm not scared. Our male youth leader came over to see what all the discussion was about, and he found out that my boyfriend then had hickey. And the leader looked at me and said, oh, you gave him that, did you? And I said, I hope so. And although nowadays I don't really agree with hickeys, just that whole situation does kind of make me laugh. And the reason I'm including hickeys as a no-go is partly because in order to give someone a hickey, which is like generally on their neck, you have to be like kissing in a certain way that's just a bit more than quite casual or affectionate, and it's crossing that line into a bit more fun. But also they're actually not all that safe, and it doesn't take much of a Google search to find out why. So just kiss someone's mouth. It's way better. Number 2 is a bit less black and white, and that is about telling other people how far you have gone. Personally, I don't tell people how far I've gone very specifically. I never have, and I think sometimes my friends in high school found that a bit annoying because they wanted to like talk about how far they'd gone and have me share that back. Whereas I think that's something quite personal between me and my partner. But also it's good to think about the fact that if I go and tell my friends how far I've gone physically, I'm not only sharing my own personal information, but also my partner's. So if I was going to do that, I would make sure that I've had a conversation with my partner first and said, do you mind if I share this with my friend? Because that's personal for them too, and I would also feel really respected by them if they did the same for me and their friends. However, I would say it's no-go to not be accountable to someone outside your relationship for your physical habits. And what I mean by that is you should have maybe 1, maybe 2 people who you have agreed with them to check in with you about your physical boundaries. Not necessarily for you to say, oh yeah, I did this with my boyfriend last night. More so for them to ask you, how are you doing with your physical boundaries? Are you honouring God with what you're doing? And you can say a really honest, yeah, I actually am, or maybe not, and give as much detail as you and your partner think is appropriate to do so. But when you're not accountable to someone like that, when it is just you and your partner, it's very, very easy for you and your partner to make a little agreement like, yeah, this is okay, we can get away with this, and you can get lost in the reality of what you should be doing and what is actually too far. So having someone outside the situation who doesn't have the sexual temptations between you and your partner that you two do can say to you, that's maybe not such a good thing. Judging from what you know of the Bible, do you think that's an okay thing to do? That sort of thing. Because it is so important to have Christian friends around you, not to judge you, but to support you, have your best interest, and to just help you stay on track with God when sometimes things can be tempting and lead you down paths that you may not really want to go down. Here's a short one. PDA. Some PDA I think is okay, and that rhyme. Kissing your partner is a greeting. Holding hands. Hugging. Prolonged hugging maybe. But when you kiss someone in public, you will not be aware of how loud it is to other people because your brain will be wrapped up in the moment. You're not thinking about the sounds. And believe me, you don't want to be in a situation where someone else is having to tell you how loud it was when you were kissing your partner and they had to hear it. It's awkward. So the no-go here is don't disrespect other people when you're giving affection in public. The next no-go is don't have expectations too high. You're not perfect, they're not perfect. You're not always going to look your best, they're not always going to look their best. They can't fulfill all your needs, you can't fulfill their... They can't fulfill all your needs and you can't fulfill all their needs. The important thing is to do your best, celebrate each other's strengths, support each other through your weaknesses, and based on that attitude, see if it works out between you two. Here's one that's kind of controversial sometimes. I would say a no-go is dating a non-Christian. I, as a Christian, would not date a non-Christian. I would say it's slightly different if you have married someone and then you've become a Christian and therefore one of you is and one of you isn't. I wouldn't say get divorced, but we're going to focus more on pre-marriage for now. And I know that there are some people who are in relationships, so one's Christian and one's not, and they will testify that that works fine for them. And I can't judge that. It's not my place to attempt to judge that. That is really between them and God. However, I would still say that it is better when you both are Christians, and I would hope that Christians would agree with that too. Because when I'm in a relationship, I want my partner to pray for me when I'm ill. I want them to accept prayer from me when they're ill. I want them to thank God for the successes and blessings in our lives. When I learn something really cool and new in a sermon I've just seen, I want to be able to share that with them and them to understand what I'm talking about and be excited. I want us to be on the same page about physical stuff and putting God first. I want us both to agree that our children can make their own decisions about faith, but that we'll bring them up in church to help them learn about it. And I'm not saying it's easy, because sometimes you just fall in love with a human and you fall in love with a human and you want to be with them, and it can be really difficult to restrain yourself from investing in that and to give that up because of the differences you have in faith. And I really want to stress that I do empathise with that, and I'm not saying this is always easy. But I am saying that as a Christian, you should love God more than anything else. A partner is never going to give you what God can. So don't fall into the trap of putting limits on your faith and how you live that out in your lifestyle and with other people for the sake of a person. It's not worth it. If you like someone who's not Christian, get to know them, invest in them, talk to them about faith, see if they're open to coming to church, invite them along. Also be a great listener and listen to their point of view, ask them questions about what they think and be open to hearing what they say. It's not all about you pouring your beliefs on them. And if the door is open for them to become a Christian, then maybe you guys can work out long term and really go for it. But if they're not, it's such a big thing to give up all of those things I mentioned before with a partner. So I would say if you are a Christian, the wisest thing to do is to refrain from dating a non-Christian. So there are all of the relationship no-goes I've got for you today. The only other things are things like passwords. Again, be wise about that. One day you might have to change passwords. Okay, maybe share your Netflix password, but probably not your bank details. Also be careful about stuff you buy together, like DVDs. If you break up, you're gonna have to split those DVDs and you don't want to be fighting over one. I want Twilight for myself, thank you very much. Actually I don't, because I've already got the whole saga already. But that's by the by. If you've got a band tee signed by your favourite artist, then that's something you might fight over a bit more. So think about that too. But generally that is what I've got for you today. So I hope that's been helpful. I know that might be quite heavy, that might give you a lot of stuff to think about, but this is stuff that I've learned from personal experience and what I would recommend as the wise thing to do to make your life easier and more enjoyable with a partner. So I'm going to go and vacuum up all this cat hair from my carpet, but before you go, don't forget to like this video if you've liked it, comment your comments, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!